Okay.
All right. Twitter question 1. How does it feel to play a bad guy, especially since you've played so many good guys in the past?
Yeah, I was really excited to get a chance to play a guy like this, even like with the character in Argo, and before that I had this Terrence Malick movie, and characters who were really like reserved and opaque and didn't say much, and because of who they were and what they did and so on. So I was really looking for a part where I could play somebody who could like in one of these more genre pulpy things, had monologues and like sort of chew the scenery kind of parts, and it reminded me a little bit. I had so much fun in this very small movie I did called Boiler Room about 10 years ago, and I hadn't gotten to do something that fun since in that way. And this really wants to be, this character is in the mold of great cinema characters from history like Michael Douglas's character in Wall Street and others, seductive, unapologetic, that kind of thing. And so I was thrilled. The writing alone just made me excited to get a chance to play it.
Great. What was your favorite part of working with Justin Timberlake on this movie?
Justin is he's such a talented guy. People say that a lot, but when you get a chance to hang out with him, which I hadn't until I did this movie, it becomes really apparent. I mean, there's just very few really people who can do so many things on the level that he does, and it's really kind of special to hang out with him. The way he can sing, he can dance, he kind of writes music and produces music and thinks about it in a way that's really interesting. He can act, and he's also like this insane athlete. It gets to the point where you're kind of you don't want to hang out with him anymore because it just makes you feel badly about yourself. But I really like Justin. I really respect how hard he works. I really respect the road that he's taken and the preparation that he puts into acting. He's very dedicated, and it'd be really easy for a guy like that to kind of go like, look, I'm a huge music star. I don't need to work hard. I don't need to dedicate myself. But he really does, and there are people. I don't know. I just have a lot of respect for Justin.
So these are the Fox generic now. How does Ivan Block rope Richie into his world? What is their connection?
Ivan Block is a guy who, to me, in terms of his relationship with Richie, sort of represented the way that we, as young men, I may not be a young man anymore, get seduced by certain ideas about like fast money and about like the ends justifying the means. And this kind of ideology is what we saw be so destructive in the financial crisis and elsewhere, in places where men give themselves permission to behave badly, and they do so because they see male role models who are telling them like, hey, look, this is how it works. This is what we do, and who have a whole line of sophistry that they use to seduce these guys, and really they kind of exploit them. And also people who are engaged in really bad behavior and immoral behavior kind of want company, and so that's who Block was with Richie in this movie. And I thought that's a way that a movie that's really kind of a thriller and a sort of a pulpy, almost noirish movie set in this exotic location also touched on stuff that was really relevant, I think, to me in the world.
Yeah. To that note, what do you think are the attractions of online gambling? Is it the tough economy, or the desire to get rich quickly, or the instant gratification afforded by the click of a computer mouse?
I think online gambling is sort of gambling on crack. It's we're in a casino now, and here you have to come in and take your credit card out and get some money and get to sit down and play cards. And if you lose, there's a sort of process to it, and you can go home and sort of separate yourself from that. The thing about online gambling is that it's never away. It's always accessible. And so if you have an issue with gambling, it's sort of designed to take advantage of that. And that's what I think is really insidious about it and kind of pernicious. I also think myself, I don't gamble online. I like to come to casinos and play blackjack and play poker, although I don't have enough recreational time these days in my life. But before I was married and before I had kids, it was fun. But I wouldn't play online personally because I think you're very likely to get cheated, frankly.
So have you tried online gambling, perhaps as research for the role? And if so, what did you learn?
I did plenty of research for this role. So it was a world I knew a lot about and I thought was really interesting. And one of the things that I had often thought about making a movie myself, in fact, I even thought of the title Runner Runner, because it's such a unique world. And going to Costa Rica, where you have these weird sort of server farms surrounded by barbed wire and guys with gigantic amounts of money that's throwing off, and the sort of crazy dynamics that creates, all these young men who can buy anything, and fortunes being built and lost in a day. I thought was a really interesting setting for a movie. And so it was something I was already interested in and knew about when they came along and asked me about it. So it was also appealing in that way. And that's a big part of what I think is interesting about the movie, is the allure of finding out about that world.
Okay. Is it fair to describe Richie as a good guy in the wrong place, trying to do the right thing? And is his association with Ivan an honest mistake?
I think it's fair to say about Richie that he is a guy who's interested in the things that a lot of young guys are interested in, and to not like separate him out from the population as being necessarily better or worse. What's interesting about Richie is that he could almost be anybody. You know, he gambles online, he thinks he got cheated, he follows, you know, he wants to get his money back, he goes to Costa Rica, and then what he sees presented to him is like the ultimate sort of entrepreneurial capitalist life. You know, if you work hard, you can make billions, this is where fortunes are made, all you gotta do is dedicate yourself, and that's very appealing, and that's something that's appealing to everybody, from the Horatio Alger stories to what we see in reality shows every day, and he kind of falls for that. And the lie in there is the fast money, you know, the sort of Madoff lie of it all, and ultimately does prove to be a Ponzi scheme, and he gets sucked into it. What we find out about Richie is that he has the character to recognize it and the strength to get himself out.
All right. And finally, you've touched on this, but how is Runner Runner a cautionary tale?
I think it would be a mistake to view Runner Runner as a cautionary tale just about gambling. Obviously, there are perils to gambling. We all know that. We know that internet gambling is shady. But what people don't know necessarily is that the ideology behind building organizations like this in online gambling is very seductive and very illusory, and that, you know, it can seem like a really good idea. It can seem just like the things that people told you to work hard and get ahead when you were growing up. But, you know, like always, when somebody tells you something, shows you something, and it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Great. That's it. Thank you very much.
Perfect timing. You're the 1 minute.